So welcome to our webinar, Oops, I Launched My Side Hustle During a Pandemic with Brooke Lowry. My name is Carly Shearman and I'm the Community Manager here at Women in Digital. For those new to the Women in Digital community, welcome. Women in Digital is a community dedicated to connecting, educating and empowering our way to diversity in digital. In today's webinar, we are focusing on surviving and even thriving in a year like 2020. And we will be joined by Brooke Lowry, the goal-getting founder of Goalie, who recently launched an app to inspire people to find their passion, achieve their goals, and live their best lives. Brooke decided to go all in on her dream and launch the Goalie app in the middle of a pandemic. And here she is, living proof that one can work 9 to 5, manage a side hustle through a pandemic, and not just survive, but really thrive in a year like 2020. In this workshop, she'll be sharing her journey, what she's learned along the way, and what advice she'd give to other aspiring side hustlers. This webinar will focus on kickstarting your side hustle, how to manage your side hustle during COVID, and as we're going to find out, it's totally possible. Key resources to help you plan, take risks, and take action. Helpful tools to help you managing a remote team. But before we dive into all of that, I did want to introduce you to today's guest. So Brooke is the founder and CEO of Goalie. She primarily splits her time between her role as product owner in the finance industry and then running her own startup. She is Agile certified and has a Master of Business in Marketing. Brooke has achieved goal success in many aspects of her life, and she moved to Australia at 23 to fast track her own career, has explored more than 40 countries, and recently her biggest goal of starting a business. Reflecting on her own journey after achieving many of her goals, she created Goalie. It's a mobile app to help others achieve theirs. The app gamifies the goal setting and planning process so that you can achieve your goals in no time while still having fun. So for our members, you are probably very familiar with how today works, but here's a quick rundown. I'm about to hand you over to Brooke and she'll spend the next 30 to 40 minutes with you. So don't forget to kind of scribble down notes as she imparts her wisdom. And then I will jump back on with Brooke for a live Q&A. So during this morning's session, as you think of a question, be sure to pop it in the chat section or there's a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen as well. And with that, let's give Brooke a very warm welcome. Good morning, Brooke.
Thank you, Carly. How are you? It's nice to be here, everyone. Thank you for having me. I don't often get the opportunity to talk about my side hustle as I'm usually working 9 to 5. So it's a real pleasure to be here. And I hope you learn a lot from both my journey and the advice that I've got to share. So yes, I'm a crazy person who decided to launch my side hustle during a pandemic. It wasn't a decision that came lightly. I registered my business 2 years ago. And ever since then, I've been working really hard to fund it. And it's been my creative passion. And it's kept me going through some really hard times. So I just want to share a little bit of a journey from where I've come from to where I am now. So as Carly mentioned, typo on the screen, I was 23 when I moved to Australia from New Zealand. I am from South Auckland. I'm not sure if many of you know it. It's typically like a low decile school in the area of New Zealand. So I was one of 3 of my friends who went to uni. And I've always had this passion for personal development, aspiring to be better and really challenging myself. So with that, I looked at the map and I said, right, I'm going to Sydney to pursue my business and tech career. I was really into startups, new business ideas, and I just thought, you know what, I'm going to buy the ticket, go there, meet people, and just see what happens. So I left to Australia for a better life. When I first arrived, I didn't really know anyone. I spent a lot of time at the beach, just really, getting to know myself, writing in my diary, just being really mindful about where I want to go in my life. And then eventually I got my first corporate job with Commonwealth Bank. So fast forward 4 to 5 years, and I'm now a senior product owner at a top 4 bank. I've doubled my salary each year in the past 2 years. A lot of this has been motivation to fund my startup. And yeah, I guess I've just been really surprised with what you can achieve when you focus and you put all your energy into that. I manage a tech product and services company. So a lot of people hear about Goalie, the app. I actually have a parent company where I plan to create more apps and software as a service solutions, and potentially academies to upskill people in digital and tech as well. However, Goalie is my first product to market. I'm really passionate about it. I've, been quite successful in achieving a lot of my goals, and I feel like I've got a lot of advice and tools and tricks that I'd love to share with people in the form of an app. So what do I do as the founder of Goalie? A bunch of things. I do marketing, HR, I'm, sourcing talent on LinkedIn, writing contracts, talking to people, managing personal development. I also fund the business myself, and I oversee technical development. So I'm working directly with developers, testing the app on my phone. I'm doing a bit of everything really, as you do in a small business. So I don't have a tech degree. A lot of what I've learned is practical knowledge. With my first job at Commonwealth Bank, I was kind of adopted by a technology team who taught me a lot of the skills I know today. And a lot of them are still friends, and some of them have worked on Goalie with me. So I've been very fortunate in that respect. And finally, I'm doing what I love. I'm kind of bridging from 9 to 5 work into my startup. And it's just, it's been an amazing journey, and I can't wait to share more of it with you. So here's a bit of a visual snapshot of where I've been and where I am now. So I've given presentations as part of the 2030 movement with General Assembly. I'm a big supporter in sharing my skills and what I've learned with other people, and really helping women especially into tech and digital roles. I featured on the My Millennial Money podcast. Now I'm speaking with women in digital, but I've also worked with gals in Australia, so Latin Americans living in Australia, and kind of helping out with business skills that, learning how to write a CV and things like that, that can really help you advance in the workplace. Now, I know everything kind of sounds all good and rosy and chirpy, but as we all know, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and running your own business doesn't come without, personal challenges. So I just wanted to share some of these with you, and how I've managed some of these. So back in April, we were all started working from home. I had a change of projects in my corporate job, which meant working with a brand new team based in Melbourne, and I was in Sydney. So unfortunately, I didn't get to meet anyone face to face, and I'm a very people person. So it felt like a bit of a setback for me, and I had to adapt to that. My partner moved back to France. His mum kind of was on her own, and that was a bit difficult. So we've been doing long distance ever since then while I'm running my startup. I also noticed in about April, the morale of the team in my startup started to diminish. We had people's partners who worked in healthcare and things like that. So I really had to pivot my ambitious business plans to really listen to my people and just understand the type of environment that we're operating in, and now might not be the best time to go big. So I adapted there. My plans to launch Goalie globally were de-scoped due to funding and timing, and I wasn't confident that we could launch globally this year, and I didn't think that was the best thing to do. We also had issues with kind of the media landscape changing, so a lot of media outlets became redundant, and there's a lot of freelance writers now, so we've had to adapt our approach with media and PR. My rent went up, so that wasn't too great. I've had, challenges working remotely with the internet dropping in and out and things like that. And then also managing my 9 to 5 versus my side hustle. So, you know, I like to think I'm an optimist and an opportunist, and, you know, but at the same time, I think it's really important to note that you can't go at 100% full bore all the time. Sometimes you have to adapt your energy to tailor to some of the personal challenges going on in your life. But I think the biggest lesson I've learned in all of this is to not lose focus of what the end goal is, what the mission is, and how you can help other people, because that's really got me through some tough times. So in my career, I have been working as a product owner, developing digital products and services, which is kind of how I bridged into my startup and learned a lot of my skills from. So I just quickly wanted to take you through some of the key steps in the product development process. So the first one is design thinking, which if you're a marketer, you might be quite familiar with some of the steps that take place here. So a lot of this is about exploring the customer problem. What are the key questions or hypotheses you have about, you know, what people might be struggling with? So for me, it was, you know, high school leavers or people starting university and they're not sure what they want to do in their careers. They're feeling a little bit lost. So that was the problem for me. Then I thought, okay, maybe I could create a product that gives people tools and tricks on how to make better decisions or make trade-offs between different goals. Maybe we could play games that could teach people how to be a better manager of their time. So what we did is, as part of the lean process, which is about building the right thing and doing a lot of testing, we started to mock up a prototype of what the app might look like. And we tested it with, so I tested it with some of my brother's friends who are a little bit younger than me. So we kind of started off with high school leavers and people starting uni. But when we launched, I actually noticed my sister, who's in her 40s, she said to me, look, Brooke, I love the sound of this app. You know, I need to lose weight. I need to stop smoking. I need to give up drinking. You know, I think this is really useful for me. And so it kind of expanded my mindset. And I thought, you know, I shouldn't really limit it to demographic or a particular age group. It's what's this problem that a variety of people are experiencing and what do they have in common? And then creating features that really solve those problems for them and just testing it. So I'm quite extroverted. I've been a marketer, I'm a planner. But what this process has really taught me is start with a plan, but don't be afraid to execute and get things out quickly and then learn from your customers. So that's what I really love about this process. And then finally, the agile part of it is working with your development team. So at this point, you've got a really clear vision of what the product is, what it does, and what it will look like. And then it's just over to the development team to build it and then make it better. So what is Goalie? You're probably wondering. So it's an app that helps you set, visualize, and achieve your goals. What you probably can't really see of Goalie at the moment is it's not just an app. So I'd like to create a bit of a community of goal-getters. So people who are really ambitious, wanting to improve in their careers and health, you know, how can they travel the world for the rest of their life, you know, and be a digital nomad. So I'm looking to kind of create a platform, or whether it's through the app, create a community of people who are really goal-oriented and will help each other achieve their goals. And then finally, it's a toolbox of games to help you build your emotional intelligence and resilience. I think this is something that would be really beneficial, especially in times like now where people are, you know, deciding to change their careers, or they're realizing what they've been doing for the last 5 years isn't quite where their passion is. So yeah, I've been involved in the design process and I'm really excited to share with everyone what we've been working on very shortly. Something I'm very proud of is the makeup of my side hustle. It's not something I was really aware of when I first started this journey. So in the financial services industry, I now realize I was the only female and only business person in the team. So I made a lot of friends that were guys, you know, I kind of learned from them and things like that. And then when I started Goalie, I hired the people that I knew. So I was the only girl in a team of 5. And I wasn't really aware of that. And then not long after, I thought, you know, like as a founder, I really have a responsibility to help bridge other female, you know, developers, founders, UX designers, marketers into roles like this. So I started, now I was conscious of it, I started actively looking for more females to join our team. So I went on LinkedIn, I found a bunch of really talented lead developers who'd worked in AI. And I just thought, wow, like this is, yeah, I kind of couldn't believe it, to be honest. I went to UTS and I started interviewing marketing students and, you know, creating kind of internship opportunities where I could show students and other women how you build a tech startup and what the different roles do. So I'm really proud to say now 43% of our team are female. And yeah, it's something I wasn't really conscious of when I started. And now I'm going to make a really kind of big effort to not only make sure that, you know, women are included as part of our team, but also feel really empowered to start, you know, your own side hustle and learn the skills that we really need to be successful. So what does a founder do? Now, this might be a long list for some founders, but considering we have a very small team, the answer is I do a whole bunch of things. However, I think the key thing that's really resonated for me, the most important things, is that a founder should focus on strategy and the well-being of their team. And I think if you do both of these things really well, you'll be really happy, rewarded, and on a good trajectory. So a couple of the different things that I do are product development. So I come up with the idea for the product. I might mock up a few designs on logos and things like that, and then I test them with my potential customers as soon as possible, just to get some feedback. At the moment, I'm providing the funding for my business, and that's so that I can retain ownership of the company and get it to a good position before I start needing investment. I've been responsible for building a team and resourcing. So that's been a real challenge in itself. We've had, you know, students come on who are really promising, but then they get offered a full-time job. So I have to kind of be adaptive and understand what they are looking to get from the experience as well. But now, you know, 2 years later, we're at a point where we've got a core team. Everybody knows the product inside out, and it's finally starting to feel a bit stable. But I think when you first start out, everything, you know, needs to be flexible, and it does take a little while before you start feeling a bit more security. I do customer research and testing. That's something I think is really important for founders to do, because it means you're always in touch with what your customers want. And you're not just kind of coming up with your own ideas and then getting a surprise when you launch to market. It's not quite what people expected. So there's a lot of really good groups like Girls in Business, where people will post prototypes of their products or, you know, packaging, and ask people, what do you think? And they get not only like a lot of really good feedback about the product, but they get a lot of support from other women as well, which I think is awesome. Public speaking. So, you know, really kind of building my profile as a female founder, but also I think it helps share your passion for what you do and adds, you know, a personal face to a brand, which I think is really important. I write and tweak the strategy. So it's not you know, you don't write a business plan and then never look at it again. So I constantly have my strategy on my whiteboard, rubbing things out, adding timeframes, you know, budget, things like resources to different aspects of it. And to be honest, I probably change it once a week. So kind of always having that vision for what your strategy is, but being adaptable to change it when and where you need. I'll just quickly skip through the next few. So I create the roadmap for the product. So at this stage, there are a bunch of features that aren't currently available in the app that are in either my head or our virtual management board. So I'm responsible for making sure that the team knows what we're working on and what's coming up soon to make it even better for customers. Sharing the vision with the team so everyone's aware what we're doing and why, and who we're creating this product for. I also solve problems on a daily basis, so I'm asking my team, even though I'm not technical, I'll ask my team, what do you need from me? Are there some tools that would make your job easier? What are you wanting to do with your career? Where are you wanting to go? Do you need a more difficult project? And I think just by solving problems, being available and asking questions, your team really respects that. And I think it's one of the most valuable things you can do. Networking, project management, and influencing and motivating the team. Again, these activities that are all to do with empowering the team's well-being, it should be a founder's #1 priority. So these are kind of key questions that I ask myself regularly. And I think, when you get kind of busy in the nitty-gritty of things, you've kind of got to just slow down and try and think more strategically. What is it that I really need to know and ask of myself and the team? So this is a little list of things that I frequently ask myself. So is it clear what we need to do and why? Do we have the right skill sets in the team? If not, where do I find these people? And I spend a lot of time investing in this, doing interviews, reaching out to people, asking people in our team if they know anyone else that could help. I think networks and that sense of trust are really, really important, as it takes a really long time to get to know people from scratch. Do we have the tools that we need with technology and, working remotely? Do we have engaging social content? So I'm also kind of wearing a marketing hat, working with our content creators to make sure people are actually really loving the attitude of our brand. Personally, am I lifting the profile of the company? I think the biggest thing when you become a founder is your company becomes your baby, right? And you would put it above yourself a lot of the time. And I think as a founder, I'm slowly learning, you're only as good as and as healthy as you are. Like, the company can't exist without you. So you really need to give yourself, whether you've got to pay yourself first, or you've got to take a mental health break for a week, or spend more time with your friends and family to get you in a good mindset for the company. I think that's really important. So I've kind of learnt the hard way, potentially. A couple of times I've probably burnt myself out a little bit by just focusing relentlessly on the company. But I guess that's just a piece of advice that I'd give. What do we need to do to take this to the next level? I keep asking myself that. So as a founder, you need to be working, at least kind of 6 months ahead. So helping the team with the day-to-day and making sure that they're clear on what they need to do now. But really, you're the strategic thinker. No one knows what's coming next unless you focus on it. So I spend a lot of time whiteboarding, drawing, creating, prototyping, just to make those ideas become real. And then finally, what's slowing us down, holding us back, or could even hinder us from launching successfully? So you want to plan these things out in advance. So then when it comes to the time, it's all go, it's all positive vibes, it's all good energy. And you've got the right people on board to help you where things go wrong, because things will go wrong. So here's a little insight kind of into my day. It's taken a little while to get to this operating rhythm. But generally I wake up at 6 o'clock, roughly, see the sunrise, which is really beautiful. And then at about 7 o'clock, I'll start doing some Goalie admin. I call it admin because a lot of my time is generally spent working 9 to 5. So it's just, I check in with my with my team, and I'm like, is there anything that they need from me? Is everyone clear on what we're doing this week? I don't know, do I need to check my emails, contact these people, etc. I like to get all that kind of work done in the morning, just so when I start work for the day, I've already done my little list of things that make me feel good. At about 8 o'clock, I'll go for a walk around the block. There's some beautiful trees in the neighborhood, so I'll just try and check out from work. And then, 9 to 5 is really work time. I try and get a walk around lunchtime, eat my food, call a friend, call my family. And then from 6 till 7, I usually try and do nothing to do with work, just focusing on, mindful activities or exercise. So I play netball, or I might go for a walk again, or I might go down to the beach. It's just my free time to just completely zone out, watch The Bachelorette, whatever it is, just mentally check out. And then from about 8 to 10, I'm ready to focus again. Some of my team members are in India, which is 4 hours, I think, behind Sydney. So usually this is the time where my developer's asking me a bunch of questions. He wants to show me a few things. So we'll jump on a call or we'll chat online and we'll kind of churn through the work together. So this is a typical day in my life. How do I balance working and managing a side hustle? I have 2 tools which help me greatly. One is a visual management board. So the one I use is called Jira. This is how I organize the work across the team. So you might see these kind of different columns here. These are different stages of the product development process. So the first one is just like ideas that I have for the app. I don't want to overwhelm the development team with, Brooke, you've got too many ideas, please slow down, we can't build all of this, which is quite common. I'm an entrepreneur, so it should be expected. So these are all my kind of mental notes to myself of new product features that I've got in mind that I need to flesh out a little bit more. And then once I'm ready for the designer to start working on them, start mocking up some of these ideas, I'll then assign it to them and they'll start working on it and then let me know when I'm ready to review it. So I think what's really good is, I can spend my mornings creating new ideas, or even evenings, creating new ideas, putting them on this board. And then, once something's ready to go, I assign it to the next person, and then I'm doing my 9 to 5 and other people are working on things. So I think, if you structure your time really well and you delegate work to others and there's a strong sense of trust and clarity in what you're doing, then I think that's how things just work like clockwork. And as we move through the process and the work goes to the development team, I will set up a session with them, talk them through what's in the ticket in Jira, and I will say, right, the requirements for this feature is that the user needs to do X, Y, Z, and these are the benefits they need to get from it. So in my team, I give our team members a lot of creative freedom to design things and develop things how they want to. And I think we've probably got to this point because we've worked with each other for such a long time now. So really, I just share my idea and I'm not specific on how we do it. And I think that also makes the team feel really empowered. And, I think they really feel involved in the process and more passionate about the product as well. Which is amazing. Like I'm really, really fortunate that my team is so involved in the work that we do. And then secondly, I have a comms channel. So my channel of choice is Slack. These are both Atlassian products, but you can use Microsoft Teams. You could probably use Facebook Chat if you wanted to and you didn't want to pay for anything. But what I do is I create different channels where we can have different conversations with different team members on a particular topic. So we might have the general channel where we can talk about anything random. We might have UX, which is more focused on UX work. UX designer might be sharing prototypes of something, or it might be a little bit more sensitive for other team members to know about. So why start a side hustle? It might be sounding a little bit chaotic now, I'm not sure. But, you know, I think starting a side hustle is something that's really meaningful. For me, it's a creative passion project as well as a potential revenue stream. It's an investment in yourself. So if you come up with a business idea, you know, fast forward the next 5 to 10 years and ask yourself, will I still be happy doing what I'm doing now? Is this an idea that's going to stick? And I would stand up and defend any day. And if the answer is yes, and it gives you that meaning and purpose, then I say do it. You know, it doesn't matter what it's going to take. If it's going to fill you up and give you good energy and you're going to meet really good people through doing it, I think it's worth it, you know. You can help other people, you know, you can help other people by employing people. While the pandemic's been going on, I think I've hired maybe 3 people who previously didn't have work. So it's also given me a driving force to continue funding the business and continue working hard, because it's not just my, you know, financial well-being that's at stake. I'm really doing what I'm doing for my team as well as my customers. You get to do things how you think they should be done. So how many times in your job, you know, do you have an idea and someone says, oh no, that's not good, or that's not your job, don't worry about it. And you're like, oh, but if I just had the chance, I could show you how it's done. Happens to me a lot. So, you know, this is my chance to show how you should run a startup or a side hustle. This is my chance to show how you should manage a team well and treat your employees. One thing I've always been really passionate about is creating a good culture where people feel valued, where other people get to express their creativity and be heard, and come up with ideas that are better than mine, you know, challenge my team to do that. You get to work on your own terms. You can, you know, it depends how supportive your family are, I guess, but you make your family proud. So one example for me is my Nana. She unfortunately passed away probably 2 years now, but I spoke to her about when she was younger, and I said, you know, what are the things that you would regret in your life? And she said to me, I never got the opportunity to travel. I got married at a really young age, so I didn't really get to focus on my career. And she was someone who was really impressionable in my life. And so with everything that I do, I think my Nana didn't have the chance to do this, you know, what can I do? Like, how can I make her proud? So in a way, I feel like a lot of the strength and support that I have through taking risks, you know, challenging the status quo, starting a business and working 9 to 5 is because I've got that real sense of purpose, that there are other people out there that don't get to do what you get to do. And I think, you know, we should really take advantage of the opportunities we have. We're very lucky. You know, financial freedom, you can have multiple streams of revenue. How handy is that in a pandemic situation? I think everyone at the moment is kind of working towards that. And something else is, you know, showing others it's possible. Being a role model for other people who, you know, have a dream and they just think, oh, like I'm in a terrible situation, there's no way I'm going to get out of this. It's absolutely not true. Just thinking back to how I felt in New Zealand, and I was feeling a little bit flat, and I thought, there's more to life than this. I can definitely do something. I just need to make a change. So here's some tips that I've got on kickstarting a side hustle. I think the biggest distraction or flaw is thinking too much. So you've got the idea, but you're just kind of sitting on it and you actually haven't done anything about it. If you're scared, if you're worried, if you don't think you know what you're doing, you know, just jump in, take the plunge a little bit. And here's a few key things that I did when I first started. So understand your legal requirements. So I wasn't sure whether I wanted to be a sole trader or a company or get into a partnership. So I contacted a local law firm and I asked for some documentation to understand the ins and outs of each business structure. My dad's also an entrepreneur, so I spoke to him about the benefits of a company, and I also spoke to an accountant. So do your research in this area, spend a little bit of time maybe writing it down, making sure you understand it before you set up your business. Number 2 is research and test your brand. So have a look to see if your name is available on Instagram. Have a look on Google, see if there's any other businesses out there, and, does this brand name or logo have positive connotations? I think, if you kind of just jump to the part where you register your business and then another company's got the same name or a similar logo, can feel a bit disheartening later on. So I would recommend doing that upfront. Another important thing is to test it with your customers. So one thing I did when creating Goalie is myself and the graphic designer, we came up with a bunch of different colors and we put it on a Facebook group with a focus group of, I think, 16 to 24-year-olds who were our market at that time. And they said, nope, don't like that color. We like that one. No, we don't like that name. We like this one. And we really just played around with it until we got it right. So, even coming up with a brand name or a logo, involve your customers in that, because you'll just learn so much more than you would otherwise on your own. Research and purchase the intellectual property that you need. So as I learned on my journey, you can't actually patent an app because it's not a technology that's new to the world. However, you can trademark your brand name. So I own the Goalie trademark for the logo and the name in Australia. Write your business plan. So I think this is probably the task you look at and you go, oh, it's so daunting. Like, I don't know where to start. I don't want to start. It sounds really taxing. The good news is that there is a template called the Lean Canvas that you can use. So with that, you write, what is your user problem? Or what are the top problems that they face? What are the benefits that you can offer them? What's the financial model going to be for your companies? Is it subscription pricing? Is it freemium? Do you offer something and give something away as part of a marketing incentive? So here, you flesh out a bit of the different options for your business plan. And later on, I've included an example of a Lean Canvas for you to show you. Once you've done all these things and you've gone, yep, I know what my brand name is, I've got the trademarks, I've tested this with my customers and it's going to make money, then it's time to register your business. And that's really easy. You just go onto I think it's the Australian government website. And yeah, the process is really easy. I couldn't believe it only took something like 2 minutes and then I was officially a business. Apply for grants and awards to financially support you, build your reputation in the market as an early starter. And this is also so important, is bring on people who share your vision. So not just technical experts who know what they're doing, contractors you'll pay and then they'll leave. The best people that I've hired for my business are people that are really passionate about the vision and actually really want to help customers. And people who find that the product actually helps them themselves. These people are really worth their weight in gold, when things go wrong. And it builds a support community for yourself as a founder, because not every day is going to be easy. Sometimes you're going to have to lean on your team and brainstorm things, or just kind of support each other when things get tough. So here's some tools that will help you. The Lean Canvas, like I mentioned, this is an example of it here. So what's the problem? What's the potential solution? How are you going to measure that you've succeeded? How are you different from your competitors? What's your unique value proposition? What's the unfair advantage that your product or company offers that others don't? What are the channels that you're going to market your product through? And what are your customer segments? So people might have different uses for your product depending on the different segment. And then finally at the bottom, you've got the cost structure and the revenue streams for it. Google and Instagram to see if other companies own like a similar brand name or the same as yours. I've also got an example here of the trademark search. So you can actually go on a site and see if other people have the trademark that you're looking for. It's really important to do that early. Otherwise, someone might go into business, use a similar name or logo to you, and then you've really got no legal protection to back yourself up. Another tool that I use is called Envision. So this is where you create a prototype of the app just with screen designs. You don't need to actually build anything there. And then you send a link to your customers and you get them to use it. And then you can ask them questions, what did you enjoy? What didn't you like about it? How can we make this better? And you can actually see what their behavior is through this app as well. So you can say, oh, they clicked on this button. Oh, they didn't even touch that one. Okay, we don't need that one. So it's really good and it's free, just to get real time insights into what your customers actually do with your product. And then finally, SurveyMonkey. So you can, ask a bunch of questions. That's more for doing quantitative research where you need a lot of different perspectives on your product. There's another tool that's not on here called, I think it's Test Panel, and that's where you can actually pay users to test your product. You can pick whether it's like 1,000 or 2,000 users, say in the Queensland area, and you can get really good feedback on your product as well. So in a nutshell, these are really my key tips for starting your side hustle. Number one is to set up structure through a plan, through whiteboarding, whether you like to journal, but then when you're actually in the process of creating that product and service, allow for change. So that's where you need to be flexible. So in the beginning, set up the structure, then allow for the change along the journey. Research your legal and financial resources early. It will avoid tripping yourself up later on in life. Invest in a virtual visual management board. So like Jira that I showed, that just means that the work can continue even if I'm not physically present on a call with someone. The work is clearly scoped out for the rest of the team to pick up when they're ready, which is great. And then having an online communication tool where where you can have a focused discussion around the work that needs to be done. Invest in a whiteboard. So I've got a massive whiteboard that I use for kind of team talks. Sometimes my team members will come over like once a week and we'll just whiteboard together. You can also use virtual whiteboards like Miro, and I think Zoom has one as well. Number 5, structure your time. So allow yourself time to think and time to do. And my advice would be to try and separate those as much as possible. So perhaps in the morning, you're doing your more strategic work. And at night, because you're a little bit tired, maybe you're doing your more tactical work and you don't have to think as much. And I think by doing both, you'll make sure that whatever you're doing actually aligns with your vision. And then the nitty gritty of what needs to get done gets done within that time frame as well. I think that's one of the most important things I've learned. And then finally, invest in training your team. So this isn't, training them in development or UX design or whatever it is. This is training your team in the product and the company that you're creating. Because the more they know and the more involved they get, when you're tired, when you're struggling, which you will get like that when you run your own business, other people will be able to continue either without you or boost you when you really, really need it. So for me as a founder, it's really rewarding when I talk to my developers and they say, look, this is me using the app. These are my goals. I was also thinking we could create this feature. Like, there's nothing that excites me more than that, because it means these people are really passionate about what we're doing together. And it just makes it, really rewarding when you're working hard to fund your business or whatever it is. So I've included some resources to have a look at. Legal Vision is a legal startup where I got a lot of information about which business structure to set up. So I'd really recommend having a look there. They've got some other resources as well on that site. The Lean Canvas, so that is an example of how to write the Lean Canvas, and then there's a bunch of detailed information on it. And then finally, the trademark search tool. So if you want to have a look, see if your brand name already exists or maybe a bunch of them, that will just help you on your IP journey before you start involving, trademark lawyers and filing applications. So thank you everyone for your time today. I really hope that you've learned something and you kind of have learned all of the good stuff that a founder experiences when you set up your side hustle, some of the challenges you face, and also how to manage a lot of change and doing multiple things at the same time. You can also follow Goalie on Instagram or me personally. So my profile is Brooke Lowry Official. Happy to connect on LinkedIn or whatever it is. And if you'd like more information, would love to catch up for a coffee or something and chat to you then as well. So thank you. We might go to some questions now.
Alrighty. Thank you so much for that. I really enjoyed that. I also have like a little side hustle, so it's good to kind of get some tips and see how you structured your day. We do have a couple questions, and if you do have any questions, do feel free to put them in the chat or the Q&A section. But I wanted to start off and ask you, like, how did you set boundaries between work Brooke and then home Brooke, or even like obviously Goalie Brooke? Like, there's obviously a few different facets to you, and how do you kind of separate between the different ones to make space for that?
I think that's a really good question, Carly. So in the beginning, I tried really hard to separate them strictly.
Yeah.
Now I've learned that doesn't really work, and I think you need to allow yourself to be your whole self.
Yeah.
So I do still separate the 9 to 5 version of myself with Goalie Brooke. And I do that by managing my time. So I tell myself 9 to 5, I'm getting paid to do this. This is my job. This is what I must do. And I'm not going to think about Goalie during that time, because Goalie deserves more time and attention than microseconds during something else.
Yeah.
And also my work, my 9 to 5 deserves my time and attention during this time as well. So that's kind of number one. Number two is I've realized I cannot separate Goalie Brooke and personal Brooke.
Yeah.
Goalie is a really big part of who I am. It relates to my personal story. And I think I shouldn't suppress that, because I think when you suppress that, your storytelling isn't as authentic either. I'm also very passionate about sharing mistakes that you've made, because I feel like on Instagram and things like that, we just don't talk about where we've made mistakes, where we've stuffed up. It's just everything is rosy and good. So I think Goalie's taught me a lot professionally and personally. And so I try not to separate that really. Although in the future, I do have ideas to create different products and services. I will probably still place people who are already working on Goalie on other projects as well. But I just see this as a stepping stone to other creative ideas that are really part of me in the future.
Awesome. A question we've got, have you ever had any issues with burning out? You seem very structured in your timeline, but does that ever go out the window?
Yes. So again, very honest and authentic on this one, but when we launched, so the day we were meant to launch, we had a few problems. The developer in India was 4 hours behind, so he was sleeping when we were meant to launch. I was freaking out a little bit, had quite a few things to do, and I just had to calm myself down, because I thought, Brooke, you're the founder. So if you're looking stressed and upset and things like that, that's really going to reflect on your team, and everybody's morale is going to go down. So I think the team have been like a really motivating force for me to not hide that I'm struggling. I do share with my team, I'm feeling a bit tired today, guys, I need to take a break. Or, could somebody please lead this for me at the moment, just because I'm really tired. So I think when you kind of create a culture where not everything is rosy and dandy, that's when you really build trust. And I think that's just really healthy. So Yes. So the following day we did launch the app, and one of the developers was the first to tell me, and I actually, all of the exhaustion just hit me.
Yeah.
And I thought, instead of celebrating and going out drinking and popping a bottle of champagne, I'm actually just going to spend the weekend in bed. And I did that. And I thought, you know what? My body is clearly telling me that I need to go a little bit slower now. So I'm just going to take a bit of a break for the next week or so. And I'll let my team know. I managed my presentations and things around that, because I think, like I mentioned earlier, your business is nothing without you. So if you're not healthy, if you're not happy, your business is going to reflect that. So it's important that you take time out for yourself, and really learn how to recharge yourself.
Yeah, no, I love that. Another question, how did you know that this was the right product or the right thing for you to pursue? Did you have like a range of ideas to begin with? Did you just know this one was going to be the one and go with it? It's almost like dating. Like, how do you decide which is the one?
So this idea came about kind of in a few different ways. One of them was I realized a lot of my friends and family were coming to me for advice. And I kind of tokened myself the parent friend. And being in Australia, I couldn't always be with my younger brothers and coach them and help them and, you know, lead them in the direction that my parents expected, I guess. So I thought, you know what, like I would really love to create a product that can help them find themselves, because I see my parents putting a lot of pressure on my brothers. And I don't see a lot of like self-exploration or trying. Like my brother was looking very deflated, wasn't sure what to do, didn't really want to talk about that. So that was part of the passion project, right? And it was really, if I can create something that helps my brother realize what he wants to do in his life, like that's going to make me really happy and proud. And then I also know how I can support him to do that. So it was a very personal reason. The second one was I'd just come back from traveling South America, and one of my brother's friends said to me, how do you have like a really good career and take time off to travel and do this and that? And it kind of made me think, oh, I didn't realize, you know, my brother's friends were really looking up to me as someone for advice. Like, this is something I can help people with. So a lot of it really came from, is this something that I can help other people with? And then I also thought, in the next 5 years, would I still be proud to keep going with this idea? You know, considering all the challenges and all the money and all the time that I'm going to put into this, am I going to regret any of that, or am I going to be okay with it? And it's been 2 years of like dealt with a lot of different challenges I didn't expect. You know, sometimes I haven't paid myself very much so that I can see the business flourish more, but just the amount that I've learned from it. And, you know, when I do start my next project, I'll go in without rose tinted glasses on. And I just think as a person, you know, doing things that are really soulful and you can help other people with, I think that really drives you and keeps you going when things get really tough.
You know, I love that. At what point did you decide to kind of invest in getting staff involved? Because obviously that is a huge outlay for a bootstrap startup.
Yeah. So when I was at uni, I did a few case studies with companies on what made them successful or how they grew quicker than others. And some of the advice, including the CEO of Icebreaker, he said to me, I don't pretend that I know something when I don't. I hire experts. I know it costs a bit of money, but it's a good investment and it saves the time kind of messing around, right? So that's the approach that I took from the beginning. I asked my more technical friends, what do you think I need to create the team? They told me you need a front-end developer, you need a back-end developer, you know, don't worry too much about a UX designer in the beginning, because if you know the product really well, you can design some of it. Doesn't matter if it's not that great. And so I started really lean. I went to the unis and I advertised internship opportunities. So whether it was unpaid or, it was slightly cheaper than hiring an expert. And I also thought this is my opportunity to give people job experience as well. So that was a really good kind of trade-off. And then I, put it out on, I think, Facebook and a few things like that. And I said, look, I'm looking for a marketing person. I'm looking for a developer. Do you know anyone? And I think maybe I had about 20 people apply. And when they did, I thought, okay, I guess I have to do this now. And I have to place someone, I've got to pay someone. And I think you just put it out there. You just put it, on social media or whatever, and then things start to happen for you. And so I think it's about like going big and then refining based on what works. Yeah. So I've hired quite a lot of people over the last 2 years, and some of them haven't worked out for certain reasons. But I think a lot of it has really come down to, is this person passionate about my business and about the team that we work with? And those are the people that have really stayed and have really added value to what we've done. So it can be a bit sad to see people come and go and things like that, but I think what you end up with at the end is really worth it.
Yeah, beautiful. Final question for the day.
Yep.
What is the one thing that surprised you the most? Ooh. And what is your final tidbit for anyone who's just started a side hustle or they're thinking of starting one?
That's a good question. Possibly a funny answer, but what surprised me the most is how much these things can cost. I try not to reflect and kind of dwell on things too much, but I also think I wouldn't have learned as much as I have if I didn't take all of those risks. So yeah, I think I try and, what's the word for it? I try and stay kind of private, and I try and do a lot of planning in that first before I take a risk and things like that. But I guess I'm just surprised how much money and time I've had to invest in this. And that's why I think it's really important to have your heart and spirit in it, because if you don't, it's really going to be an uphill climb. And I guess my final kind of piece of advice for starting a side hustle would be, I think use the lean canvas model. Use some of the tools that I've given to really work out what your business structure is going to be, how you're going to make money, who are your customers. And if you're not sure if you want to get into it or not, just start creating prototypes and put it out there. Like, a lot of this upfront work you can do either very cheaply or for free. And it's a really good idea to test out your business plan and whether it's something you actually want to keep doing. So I think definitely start there. Like, it's something you could do over the weekend. There's a lot of really good models and things out there now that mean you don't have to write a 10-page business plan. And like I said, if you want to go for coffee or anything, feel free to ping me on LinkedIn or Instagram, and we can chat, maybe do like a workshop on it even further. And I can share some examples of mine. But really, I just own a whiteboard. I test things very quickly. If I'm not sure, I just ask my customers. And I think learn as you go. Be open to learning. And then, if something's not working, just be honest with it not working as well. That's totally okay.
I love that. Awesome. We are going to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time, Brooke. The app is beautiful. I know it's taken a few years to get there and probably a few dollars, but you should be really proud of what you've created. Got to download it on my phone, and it looks amazing. I can't wait to start using it. And that is it from me. Thank you so much for your time, Brooke. We really appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, guys. Have a nice weekend.
Bye.